You're listening to the School Leadership Reimagined podcast, episode 138. How do builders like us make a dramatic difference in the lives of our students in spite of all the obstacles we face? How do you keep your vision for your school from being held hostage by resistant teachers, uncooperative parents, ridiculous district policies, or lack of time, money, or resources? If you're facing those challenges right now, here is where you'll find the answers, strategies, and actionable tips you need to overcome any obstacle you face. You don't have to wait to make a difference in the lives of the people you serve. You can turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Let's get started. Hey builders, welcome to another episode of the School Leadership Reimagined podcast. I'm your host, Robin Jackson, and today we're going to continue our Versus series, and we're going to talk about how builders think differently than leaders about their challenges. And so this one we're going to talk about, are you spending your time talking about challenges, or are you spending your time turning those challenges into opportunities? Now, before we dive in, we have a couple of announcements. First of all, we had a really good time inside of Buildership University last week where we did our master scheduling masterclass. Every year in Buildership University, somewhere around the beginning of the year, we sit down and we help you take a look at your master schedule and get you set up so that you will have a very easy, painless, profitable, productive master scheduling season. So during that masterclass, we first spent a lot of time looking at our master schedules and trying to figure out where are our master schedules still misaligned to our vision, our mission, and our core values. And then the fun part happens. Then we started spending time really dreaming about what that ideal master schedule would look like, looking at challenges and problems that you found in your master schedule this year and fixing them and starting to plan for next year. And what I love about the master scheduling, the master class and the time that we spend together is that we actually get really creative. We become innovative about our master schedule. We realize we're not bound by the schedule we've already had, and we can create a schedule that better serves our students and our teachers, and we can do it within our district guidelines. And that is what makes it really fun. We're also going to be inside of Buildership University spending time over the next few months doing what we're calling study halls, where we come, we bring our master schedules, and we work on our master schedules together. We learn from each other, we innovate, we work out challenges together so that you don't have to lock yourself in the office and figure it out on your own. You can come to those study halls. I'll be in those study halls. We'll be working through challenges and innovating and figuring things out. Now, if you're not a member of Buildership University, well, first of all, what are you waiting for? We have so much value inside of Buildership University. And you can even get started for free. And if you join the free Buildership University, one of the things that we're releasing this month is a master scheduling calendar. And this calendar is a year-long master scheduling calendar that breaks it down month by month, what you need to be doing to make sure that you are building a strong and powerful master schedule. Now, why are we spending so much time on master scheduling? Well, your master schedule is one of the most powerful tools you have to manifest your vision, your mission, and your core values in your school. It drives everything. When I work with schools, one of the first things I want to see is I want to see your master schedule, because I don't care what you say your vision is or your mission or your core values is. Your real values, your real vision, your real mission are revealed by your master schedule. And so if you want to grab that master scheduling calendar, all you need to do is join Buildership University. We automatically load the resources that we release every single month inside of your dashboard. So they're there waiting for you. And you can join anytime, and you can join for free. So go to buildershipuniversity.com, sign up, and you'll get the master scheduling calendar. Plus, you'll get all of the other resources that we've released inside of Buildership University so far. We've got close to 100 resources inside of Buildership University at this point, things that are very practical that you can use right away to move your school forward. So go to buildershipuniversity.com and sign up today. And if you want more help, more support, more, time with me, coaching from me, then I urge you to join Buildership University at the insiders level. And at that level, we have bi-monthly office hours. So every other week we get together, we have office hours, you come, you hang out, you ask questions, you bring challenges, we help give you solutions, then you come back the next time and you tell us how it went. And, we work through that and support you. We have monthly master classes. This month was the master schedule, and every single month we're focusing on something that is in alignment with your rhythm of your school year to help you when you go out into your school, you look amazing. A lot of people say that the insiders say that being in BU Insiders is like having a secret weapon, right? So you come to BU Insiders. It's private. It's not a Facebook group. We're on a totally separate platform. So it's very private and confidential. You bring your challenges, you solve them, then you go back to your school, you look like a genius. You look so amazing because you figured it out. And you have this whole tribe of builders behind you helping you figure it out. So if you're not a member of Insider, again, buildershipuniversity.com, and that gives you that extra tier of support. The last announcement is that we only have a few days before you will no longer be able to get Builders Lab tickets to our January Builders Lab. So our next Builders Lab is virtual. It's happening January 31st through February 2nd. And last week was the deadline to guarantee your box. That, we had to cut that off. But if this week is the deadline for cutoff for tickets, and we are so close to capacity, it's not even funny. We only have a few tickets left, and we have some people who are working to get POs and that sort of thing done now. So if you try to buy a ticket and it tells you we're closed, I'm sorry, we only have a few seats left, but January 14th is the last day to get tickets. And you really want to come to Builders Lab. We are kind of revamping it a little bit to make it even more practical, especially for those of you who are in the midst of all this COVID fatigue, giving you some really practical strategies for how you can still turn this year into a success story. But more importantly, when you come to Builders Lab, you get refocused on the things that matter. It's 3 days where you get to step away from the chaos and get refocused on what really matters for your school. And not only that, but come away with a plan to make sure that you get what matters done this school year. So again, if you want to come to Builders Lab, Friday is your last day. January 14th is the deadline. And you can get your tickets at mindstepsinc.com/builders-lab. Okay. Every year we have at MindSteps, our team, we have a yearly meeting. And this year was no different. But one of the things that I have been noticing is that as we've been, working on serving the builders that we serve, we have been drifting away from some of the principles that we teach. And so this year we said, listen, we have got to eat our own dog food. I don't know why I said that's such a gross phrase, but I don't even know where I got that. But anyway, you get my point. We need to practice what we preach. And so we did. When we sat down and we did our yearly meeting this year, we got back to what we teach about how to run a yearly meeting. And I need to tell you that this was probably the best yearly meeting we've ever had. And the reason that it was so good is we adhered very closely to what we teach. We did, sometimes how you teach something, you're like, I know that already. No, we followed the format. I followed the format of thinking about the meeting ahead of time. And then we did something else that I've taught in the past, but I want to kind of bring it back up to your consciousness, especially now because so many of you are dealing with so much uncertainty and stress, and everybody's looking to you for answers. And, so I wanted to bring this back to your consciousness to help you deal with that and to tell you how powerful it has been for me. One of my challenges, and I don't know if it's because I'm mastery driven or what, but one of my challenges is that I am really hard on myself. I was telling somebody the other day, you can't be harder on me than I am on myself. And because of that, when I see challenges, they can feel overwhelming if I can't if I don't immediately know how to solve those challenges. So when we were sitting down and we were using that yearly meeting format that we teach you how to use in Builders Lab and in Buildership University, we got to the point where we had to look back on 2021. And I hate that part of the meeting because that's the part of the meeting where you have to acknowledge the things that didn't get done. You have to acknowledge your failures. Nobody wants to do that, especially not me. And, I had some failures in 2021. And so as I was preparing for the meeting and I start listing these failures, the failures started to reveal what to me felt like character flaws. And the failures started to bring out some of the negative thinking that often plagues me. I don't know if you go through this where you try to be positive as much as possible, but after you've worked hard at something for so long and you don't see results, then you start to think maybe it can never happen. So maybe for years you've been trying to raise test scores for students, and every year you try a new program or do something different, and every year you fail to hit the mark. So over time, you start lowering that bar and you start telling yourself this thing that maybe we can't do it, or we can't do it with the teachers we have, or we can't do it with the students we have, or we can't do it under the circumstances we're facing right now. Also, if we are used to something for so long, we will begin to make it make sense, even if it doesn't make sense. So we'll say, well, there have to be a number of failures every year. Not everybody's going to pass. Or we'll say to ourselves, hey, discipline problems happen. Kids are stressed out. Of course, we're going to see more discipline problems. And we begin to accept things that we shouldn't accept. And our leadership training teaches us to do that. Our leadership training tells us that we need to be that naive. To believe differently, to believe otherwise is naive. So yes, I don't care how good you are, there are some kids who are going to fail. There are some kids who you are going to see some discipline problems. And so we work on building systems to deal with things like discipline problems and failures when we never question whether or not there should be failures to begin with, or there should be discipline problems to begin with. So one of the things that I did this year is I took every negative thought in my head, every challenge that I'm facing that felt insurmountable, and I wrote them all down. And although that sounds like a very depressing few minutes, it really wasn't. It felt empowering to just kind of see all those things on paper. And before I got overwhelmed, I did what builders do. You see, leaders look at that and they say, all right, how do I deal with this challenge? How do I mitigate this? This is coming up. I got to deal with this, So we look at, okay, we're going to have a number of teacher shortages. Teachers are going to be out and maybe my school's going to close. And how do I just deal with it? Rather than looking at those challenges and turning them on their head. So this year I did something different. I looked at all the failures from last year. I looked at all the challenges that I'm facing this year, and I took those statements and then I said, okay, for each one, I'm going to turn it on its head. So let me give you an example. One example is that I've been trying to hit a goal of, it doesn't matter. I've been trying to hit a goal, and I've been trying to hit the goal for the last 4 years. And I've never been able to hit the goal. And so the thing that I began to tell myself is maybe I don't have what it takes to hit the goal. Have you ever done that where you start to wonder if maybe you don't have what it takes? I started noticing that I was experiencing some imposter syndrome. So I would say, I'm up here playing like I know what I'm doing, and I really don't. Because obviously, if I knew what I was doing, I would hit that goal. And that kind of self-talk, even if I wasn't conscious of it, it was governing the actions that I took. So I was starting to shave off the goal a little bit. I was starting to be defensive in my planning because I didn't want to have to deal with that failure another year. And I bet you do the same thing. Do you find yourself questioning your ability, wondering if you have what it takes? Do you find yourself starting to shave away at your big goals, your big vision, because you can't figure out how to get it done? And you've tried and you've given it your best and you still haven't hit the mark. So maybe that mark isn't hittable. Maybe that's what you start telling yourself. Well, I was doing that. And one of the things that I realized is that I was making decisions about my future based on my past. So because I had never been able to hit the goal, I began to plan for 2022 in a way that acknowledged that I was not going to hit that goal in 2022 either. I was starting to create defensive mechanisms. I was already starting to make excuses, and those excuses started to loom even larger because I needed those excuses to protect my ego from the fact that I wasn't going to hit this goal again. At least that's what I was telling myself. And we do it unconsciously often. So, a lot of us come back in January and we're saying, okay, we've had the first half of the year. It's been tough, but we figured some things out. And now this is the time that we really need to kind of put our feet to the fire because testing is coming up and because, we only have this amount of time left before the end of the school year. And we start to make plans, but are those plans being driven by our negative self-talk? So, here's what builders do, because when you're trained to be a leader, you're kind of trained to do that. You're kind of trained to start shaving away at goals if you can't hit them. You're trained to give voice to that negative self-talk and create strategies and systems that are defensive. But what builders do is they take those same challenges and they find the opportunity in the challenges. And so that's what I did this year. I took a goal that I wasn't reaching. I took the negative self-talk. I wrote it down. I said, I don't have what it takes to reach this goal. Then I turned it on its head and I asked, what would it take to reach this goal? I'm so busy worried about, I don't have what it takes. I'm not even sure what it will take. And when I sat down and started thinking about what would it actually take to reach the goal, I realized that I did have it. And I just needed to focus on doing those things. So all of a sudden, that challenge, that thing that I was trying to hide from, that thing that was making me feel bad and like an imposter, now it's an opportunity. Because now I know, this is what it will take. And I can do that. So no doubt I'm going to hit the goal this year, because as long as I stick with that plan, as long as I do what it will take, I'll hit the goal. So now, instead of looking at that goal and feeling, like it's an indictment of my inability to get stuff done, I'm looking at that goal and I feel confident that I'm going to hit that goal if I stick with the plan. We've been doing this a lot with some of the builders we're working with inside of Buildership University. We're saying, what is it? What is it that well, we can't do that because if we do that, it'll create too many discipline problems. Well, what would it look like? What would we have to do so that how would we have to design this so it doesn't create disciplinary problems? And when we started having that conversation, we got excited because now we're looking at the possibilities, that thing, that challenge that was holding them back. They were not doing something because they were worried about the discipline problems, because every time they'd done it in the past, they'd experienced discipline problems. When they redesigned it with a builder's mindset, all of a sudden, discipline problems weren't holding you back, and now you got excited. And it was actually better. The thing that we were designing actually turned out to be even better than the thing that they were thinking about before, because we thought about it like a builder. People say all the time, when we talk about the vision for 100% of your students, I'm never going to get there. You're right. You're never going to get there with the school that you have. But that's not the right question. The right question is, what would it take? What would our school have to look like in order for this to be true? And when you ask that question and then you answer that question, well, you have a blueprint that helps you design the school that you need to be building. It also shows you where you're wasting time. If you're wasting time trying to mitigate a challenge rather than eliminate a challenge, well, you're going to work really hard and see very little results because you're still living with that same challenge. What builders do is we say, we don't want to mitigate a challenge. What do we need to do so that this challenge is no longer a factor? So, people say, well, there's some challenges I can't do anything about. For instance, I have a superintendent who is, demanding that I do things this way, or I have a policy that says I have to do this way, or I can't do anything about COVID. All right. Well, let's take it. Let's look. What is it that you want? What support do you need from your superintendent? You think your superintendent is a barrier? Well, a builder would say, well, what do I really need from the superintendent? And then they ask, is there another way that I can get that support? And if not, what do I need to do to get the support that I need from the superintendent? And that starts to open up opportunities where before there were only roadblocks and challenges. COVID. we've been living with it for almost 2 years, over 2 years now. And so we may feel like our hands are tied. I mean, what can I do if I don't have teachers there? I don't have enough teachers to teach. We have to close down. Okay. There may be some logistical things you have to do, but your question is, does that mean learning stops? Does that mean that we slow down in pursuit of our vision? And the answer is, of course not. So the question becomes, how do we continue to pursue our vision and stay focused on our vision, even in the midst of crisis? People are telling me, well, our kids we're seeing so many behavior problems this year. And I've never seen behavior problems like this before. That's a legitimate challenge. You are seeing more behavior problems. But then the question needs to become, what environment do we have to create that will mitigate or remove the behavior problems altogether? You might have to go deeper. You might have to ask, where do we think the root cause of that behavior problem is? And what can we put in place so that the behavior problems are no longer an issue? You might ask, how can we help students learn in spite of their acting out, in spite of their behavior problems? Or how can we turn these disciplinary issues into valuable learning experiences that put our kids ahead, even though rather than behind, because we are using and leveraging this opportunity to help students learn how to govern their behavior and manage the social and emotional learning needs that they have differently and better. Here's another one. A lot of times people are saying, well, how can I, they try to do this and they say, here's something I need to get done. Here's a challenge. I'm not able to get this done. And we actually did this in our meeting. I was saying, I'm not getting this done. I am not good at this. And so I was trying to figure out, well, how do I get it done? How do I be good at it? And my team pointed out, maybe that's the wrong question, because if I think about it like a builder, if I'm not getting it done, I'm not good at getting it done, the next question needs to be, does it really need to be done? And then does it need to be done by me? What we found is something that I was working really hard trying to get the discipline and the focus to get done was something that I probably shouldn't be doing at all anyway. And maybe that's why I'm not doing it or having the discipline to do it, because it's something I shouldn't even be doing. And that's the beauty of looking at every challenge that you have and turning it into an opportunity. So here's my challenge for you this week. I want you to take some time, just go someplace quiet, so you're not going to be disturbed. Sit down and be honest with yourself. Write down every negative thought you have about your ability to do your job. You might write down, I don't have what it takes to transform a school. I am too overwhelmed to focus on the work I need to focus on right now. I am so busy subbing for classes that I don't have time to do the work that I need to do. I am so busy working out disciplinary issues that I can't focus on what I really want to do. My teachers are too burned out to do anything else new this year. You go through that entire list, write every challenge down. And then instead of thinking about it like a leader and trying to fix those challenges, which creates a lot of stress. I don't know if it does for you, but it does for me. Instead of going through it like a leader and trying to fix all those challenges, what I want you to do is to look at those challenges like a builder and find the opportunity. So when you're saying my teachers are too burned out to take on anything new right now, you're going to ask a couple of questions. Should they be taking on anything new? And what would have to happen to eliminate the burnout? Or you might ask, why are my teachers burned out? And is it legit? Are they legitimately burned out? Is there something that I'm asking them to do that isn't really helping them do their job? Where are they spending their time right now? What are they focusing on? And is that the right thing to be focused on? Or do we need to get focused back on our vision? And is this new thing that I want them to do legit? Is it something that I should be asking them to do? And if not, what is it that I'm really after? I was talking to a principal this week and she was just saying, my teachers are just focused on the wrong thing. And I said, well, what are they? At the beginning of the year, we had a SIP plan. We had all of these SIP goals that we, wanted to do, these teaching behaviors that we wanted to do. But my teachers are too burned out to focus on it right now. And I said, well, the problem is you're focusing on the behaviors. What was the end point? What's your vision? What were those behaviors supposed to get you? How were those behaviors aligned with the vision? What do you really want to accomplish? When she told me your vision, I said, well, focus on that. Your teachers may be too burned out to do all of the behaviors that you outlined on your SIP plan. Should they be doing them in the first place? Is that the only way to get to your vision, or is there another way? And once we had that conversation, it stopped being about getting into these skirmishes with teachers because they don't have a learning intention written on the board, or getting into these, tug of war battles with teachers because they didn't use the 5-part warm up sequence that you outlined at the beginning of the year. And instead, you get teachers focused on the goal. Then all of a sudden, instead of fighting with people about getting them to do something that may or may not make a difference, you are involving people in conversations that really matter, which have to do with how do we still achieve our goal in these circumstances. Your teachers, instead of being adversaries who you're trying to drag across some imaginary finish line outlined by your SIP plan in June or July, whatever it was you wrote it, instead of that, they become partners. They become co-creators of that learning experience. And they own it. If you wrote down that I don't have what it takes, ask yourself, what does it really take? And once you understand that, if you really don't have it, where could I get it easily? And go get it. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. If you're saying, I can't move forward unless my teachers do X, then you might want to ask, why aren't they doing X? And is there another way to move forward that doesn't involve teachers doing X at all? And you keep going and you take those problems one by one and you start interrogating them until you find the opportunity in the problems. Now, if you do that, and I hope you do, 2 things will happen. Number 1, you're going to amaze yourself with the solutions you come up with, especially to problems that you've been struggling with for years. And number 2, you're going to feel a sense of relief. The pressure is going to be gone because once you do that, you'll realize that all these things that are keeping you up at night, all these things that are stressing you out are solvable. And that you have right now what you need to do it. One of the reasons we say all the time is that we help you turn your school into a success story with the people and resources you already have. Is because I honestly believe you already have what you need to be able to accomplish anything you want to accomplish. You already have it. So discover it, find it, leverage it in the right way, and you can achieve your goals. It's not pie in the sky. It's not a fortune cookie. I really believe it. And so if you are a builder, you don't let problems get in your way. Instead, what you do is you turn those problems into opportunities. You find the opportunity in the problem, and this exercise will help you do it. And once you find the opportunity in the problem, you go for it confidently. Your colleagues are still stressing out. You're not stressing out anymore because you know how to turn problems into opportunities. While everybody else is spinning their wheels, wasting time, but saying, well, I can't get to it this year, maybe next year, you're continuing to move your school forward. While everybody else's culture is taking a huge hit because of all the stress that's going on, your culture is getting stronger. While everybody else is reconsidering whether they want to be in education, you're planning your next move. And you are becoming this superstar principal, and other people are trying to figure out, what are you doing that's so different? Gotta get this, folks. If you really want to be a builder, you can't stay stuck in leadership thinking, which is that every problem means more work, means another tactic, another thing. No, if you really want to do the things that you came to education to do, to make that difference, to be a principal or an administrator who actually gets stuff done, you can't fool with that leadership thinking anymore when it comes to your problems. You can't waste your time spinning your wheels solving problems that may not need to be solved in the first place, or mitigating problems so you don't have to deal with the fallout, or being stuck in your challenges. Instead, what you need to do is to start seeing your problems through the lens of buildership. Start taking your challenges, and instead of letting them stress you out, unravel them a little bit, interrogate them, turn them on their head, and find the opportunity in your challenges like a builder. I'll talk to you next time. Hey, if you're ready to get started being a builder right away, then I want to invite you to join us at Buildership University. It's our exclusive online community for builders just like you, where you'll be able to get the exact training that you need to turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Inside, you'll find our best online courses, live trainings with me, tons of resources, templates, and exemplars, and monthly live office hours with me, where you can ask me anything and get my help on whatever challenge you're facing right now. If you're tired of hitting obstacle after obstacle and you're sick of tiny little incremental gains each year, if you're ready to make a dramatic difference in your school right now, then you need to join Buildership University. Just go to buildershipuniversity.com and get started writing your school success story today.